Hello everyone and welcome back to Scale Sandbox. Today we are back and we are going to be finishing off this whole area here. And if you didn't see, last time we built this really nice modern station which is going to provide a service for people who want to get off and sort of come and spend a day at the lake. And my plans for today are to build a little nature reserve building here, hopefully finish off the second platform of this station, and also build a bridge over the train line. However, first of all, we need to make sure that there isn't this annoying jump between the two terrain levels, and the way I'm going to do that is by dragging across these little terrain spheres and just smoothing out the difference. And the other thing I want to do terrain-wise is add in some of those gravel mounds, like the ones we have over here, because I don't know, I just feel like they look really nice. So I'm just going to put a couple here next to the track, and maybe a few more outside the station. So now I think we can move on to building the visitor center for the nature reserve. And I'm going to try and keep it in the same sort of style and design as this building over here, but it's going to be down by the lakeside. So the first thing I'm going to do is copy across this little pavement floor, and then I'm just going to extend it a little bit. And then out this side, I want to have a cylinder. And this is going to create a really nice observation deck for the wildlife center, because we're going to have a nice curved edge to the building here. That is, if I can pull this off. So with the general shape of the building now created, let's go and put in the sort of general structure. Okay, so this is what I've got going on for now. We'll talk about this little section a bit later on. But as you can see, I've gone for a very similar style to the station over here. And between all of these pillars, we're going to have some alternating glass panes, a bit of this white concrete, and also some of this new brown wood. And right here is going to be the entrance to the visitor center. And we will build some steps down, maybe sort of an outside cafe area, and a path that leads up to the station, and also to a bridge that we're going to build. So for now, let's add in the bits in between. And that is the front of the visitor center almost complete. All I need to do is add in a little door here. And I'm going to come over to the station and once again copy the little door module we made last episode. Look at that. A pretty perfect fit if you ask me. So before we get onto all of the pathing stuff and all that kind of bits and bobs, I want to talk about this viewing area. So my plan is to have the room sort of slant out towards the top, exactly the same as we have it at this station. However, it's going to be going round in a circle. So it's going to be like, the shape is actually called a frustum, and it's an inverted frustum for any of you who like shapes. It's basically an inverted cone, but with the bottom chopped off. So that is what I'm trying to achieve. And if I can pull this off, it's going to look pretty darn epic. All right, so I have the dividing pillars between the glass. They're at 30-degree angles from each other, and I just did it by rotating them around this central cylinder. Now, I have some worries about how I'm going to do, the glass and stuff, but my major concern is going to be trying to fill in these gaps, because these ones that connect into the main area, they are not at the same angle, and I think this is going to be really difficult. But I'm going to put off doing that and now focus on the glass in between all the pillars. And there we go. You know what? That is exactly what I was envisioning, so I'm really happy how that turned out. Now I'm going to go away and see if there is any way that I can try and fill in these two gaps. Now, I'm less hopeful about this, so this might take me quite a while. And there we go. I have managed to fill in these little gaps here, albeit not very well. And I've also added some more concrete pillars and dividers along the bottom and the top of the windows. But we need to add these black poles at a second slanted angle further out. And I think the easiest way to do that is select one of these poles, copy it, rotate it down, and pull it out. Then once it's in the sort of general position, we can change it to a cylinder. And of course, it's in the wrong rotation, so we rotate it by 90 degrees and we stretch it back out again. Then all we need to do is select the color. And to do that, we just click on the black and press select. And finally, we've got to make sure it's the right texture. So we're just going to make it a nice metal. Now it's in place, we can select it along with the central cylinder. And now we're free to copy it and rotate it around the building. And I have now decided on how I want to build the roof of this section of the building. I still haven't decided about this one. And to complete it, the first thing I want to do is extend all of these pieces up to another layer. Okay, that all worked apart from these two because I have them on their side. Let me just fix that quickly. Now I've got to extend this beam up a little bit and also put another beam on the second floor here. Then all I need to do is change this piece into a wedge, recolor it to the concrete color and texture, copy it across but so that it sits on this side at an angle, and now we can put a roof on it. So yes, in keeping with the same theme as this building, I've sort of decided to do this nice slopey roof. However, with the overhang, I thought I'd go one extra and have this really nice triangular shape. I mean, if you take into account the entire roof, it's actually a trapezium. But yeah, I really think the sort of triangular shape out the front really adds a nice bit of style to this building. And it really works over here as well. Okay, and after much consideration, I still have not decided what I'm going to do for this roof, so I'm going to move on. That's a lie. I'm going to put a flat cylinder on the top and then move on. So the first thing I think we should do is add a nice little outside area. And I'm actually going to have a little bit of a key wall over here. Of course, you've always got to have a fence to stop people from falling into the lake. And how about some life buoys, just in case you do fall in? Yeah, I think I might have gone a little bit too hard on the detail for once. Okay, so I have had an idea of how I'm going to complete this roof, and I'm just going to do it before I put the steps up to this building, because why not? And you know what? This is probably the least creative thing I could have done, but hey ho, I just want it to not look so flat. And while I probably could have done a much bougier roof, to be honest, it just gives it some thickness, and I'm pretty happy with it like that. So now we need a way to get up to the door, and I've decided instead of a staircase, we'll do a ramp for accessibility. So I've got the general shape of the path up into the building. Now it's time to sort of build the terrain around it. To be honest, the only reason why I did it like that is I didn't want to put any sort of railings on this. So the only other thing I'd really like to do in this area is just add in a little path that comes off and round the back of this hill, so it feels like there's, you know, space to walk from the visitor center. And I'm going to come over here and use the same color as the farm track. And from here, I'm just going to introduce a slight curve. I feel like we should have a path coming along the front of the building. Okay, so the path is in, and I also put a little area where people can sit down, and also added a few more of the life buoys. And then I also added in a path from this main area up to the platform of the station, where we will eventually put in a little bridge over the train line. However, just before we do that, we've got to make sure that this platform is finished off and looking as nice as this other one. Which means we first have to copy along a fence. Then we can add in a few more of these planters with trees in them, some benches in between, and of course some platform lighting, which I'm actually going to place along this path and all the way down to the nature reserve building. And finally, the last thing to add to this station is a couple of these station signs. And speaking of signs, we need to name this station. And a couple people in the comments have put Lakeshore, and I really like that. So I'm going to name this place Lakeshore Park. And there we go, we now have another station, and this one is called Lakeshore Park. And this has taken me much longer than it should have done, but I've made a little sign here. Because you can now put text on shapes, I've made a little welcome to Lakeshore Park sign as people come from the station and down to the nature reserve. So the final thing we need to do today is add in a bridge so that people can cross over the tracks. And while I have been enjoying making these really shallow slopes, I think I will make something with a little bit more of an angle so it looks more like stairs. And this isn't the final structure of the bridge, because I would also like one ramp to come down that leads directly to the road. And this way, people can reach the nature reserve without having to go through the station. So now that that's all in place, let's put on a whole load of railings and stuff so people don't fall off the bridge. And you know what? That is probably the neatest bridge I have ever built. And I freehanded the entire thing. I didn't use any grids or anything. I am really happy with that. And that is pretty much the end of this episode. Obviously, we've got a whole load of foliage and stuff to do, so let me go and do that now. And now that the foliage is in, everything is looking rather nice. Now, there is one final thing which I have just remembered we need to do, and that is put in a new signal block. And in fact, I think we might be able to fit a couple new signal blocks in. Yeah, so the last one is at either end of this station. So I definitely think there's room for 2 signal blocks before the next one. Then that is our first signal block since the station. Then I think sort of just as we come out of the tunnel here, we can have another one. And that is the second signal block. And at either end of this platform is going to be the third. Well, there we go, guys. That is this bit of the line done. Today, we built the nature reserve and lots of paths around it. Added in lots of cool signs and also a really nice bridge. So yes, I'm looking forward to in our next episode where we can extend the track and move on to some cooler things. But for now, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Goodbye.